Well, and really, let's just start with.
How did you actually, you don't have to, go through all of the details in terms of what's happening in your space now, but how did you get here? How did you end up owning our Jones Collision One?
I know, it's a good question. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know why. But, no, anyway, I will tell you, I grew up in the body shop. My dad and my uncle started the business back in 1971, and I, as a kid, played there on weekends, and
that had to be safe.
Yeah, right? It was very safe. Yeah, there's no work comp claims in my future, or my past. But anyway, I had never intended to own a body shop. Never intended to work at a body shop. That was just where my parents worked, and so I went to school, got a teaching degree from UNI, best teaching school out there, I believe. Prepared me for teaching that I taught for 1 year. Actually got a job at Brody Middle School, teaching in the resource room at Brody, and loved it and hated it at the same time, and knew it was not something I could do for the rest of my life. So being single and no kids, and a job that would pay me through the summer, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. I moved to Charlotte because it's the home of NASCAR, and most NASCAR teams are based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm a big racing fan, and I thought, you know what, let's just try this, see what it's like, and see what I can do. And so moved there with no job, and ended up finding a job with an engine builder in Charlotte. He got a local small business, not the big guys that you hear of these days, but so found a job with him, just was not working on engines. I was paying the bills and keeping the lights on and things like that. So, but unfortunately, about 1.5 years in, my mom got sick, and she was the accountant, front office manager at the shop, and Dad needed somebody to come in and do payroll, frankly. I mean, he had no idea how to do it, and Mom was unable to do it. So I moved home, was able to take care of Mom at home, and then help Dad out with the shop. So that got me my first paycheck at the shop. October of 2001 is when I moved back, and I've slowly been increasing my roles and responsibilities at the shop. I was just doing some payroll and accounting stuff, and then I moved into estimating. So I would write all the estimates that came in the shop, and then my dad would handle all the production in the shop. And so I essentially ran the front of the house, and he ran the back of the house. So
you never had a paid job there working up,
nope.
Although you said a girlfriend did.
Even some of your friends got paid. Not me, but some of my girlfriends did. So
you came back really to help your dad, your dad out. But even through all this, when you took over accounting and the estimating, you mentioned it never occurred to you that
at that point in time, no.
Buy the business.
No.
So how did that sort of unfold?
It unfolded over a period of time. My dad and my uncle were working in the business, and they were ready to retire probably about 5-6 years before they actually retired, and they would talk about it all the time. They would talk about it, but they wouldn't do anything about it. And I think it's because they didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. They hadn't set up anything. They, back in 1971, Dad walked into this building with a toolbox, and he built it up from that. And so he had no knowledge. He had no idea what to do or how to leave the business and take some money with him when he goes.
And he had 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, not necessarily even thinking, one of the girls will.
Right. I don't think they ever thought I would, or my sister would grow up to own the business or even work in the business. They never really encouraged it. They never discouraged it.
Right.
There was never really a plan.
And your uncle had some children as well,
yeah.
but
nope.
Nobody there.
2 girls,
interested.
2, Yeah, nobody. So somebody had to do it,
yeah.
Right? So I, until I ran into some some financial planners that were able to just kind of get us started on the path of succession. There was not a whole lot that they were thinking or doing other than just talking about it. So.
And one of the things you had shared when we were talking was that they wanted to retire, but also realized that they still needed money. They still, they still need income. So I imagine that's something that maybe the financial planner helped both of you figure out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was somebody that could say, hey, this can be done, and let's do this, or let's look at this. Here's some options that we could take advantage of, and things of that sort. So it really got the ball rolling. And then of course you bring in the accountant and you bring in the lawyers, and you have this big powwow, and suddenly it just all came together. So.
Did you have to do a lot of negotiating with your own family? And how did that go?
I left that up to the lawyers and the accountants. Yes, there's the unfortunate thing about buying a business is usually you, as a purchaser or buyer, you pay too much, and as the seller, you don't get enough. There's nobody's ever happy, with that amount of money. But I think we found a good medium, and so all is well right now.
So how long ago was that then?
It will be 4 years in March. This 2018.
March.
So yeah.
So has it gone as you thought it would?
I don't know. Running the business, yes and no. I mean, there's, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Has your dad stayed in it or out of it?
Oh, he's been out.
He walked away.
He walked away. Yeah, no, he walked away. He's there. He's in town. He's not moved down to Florida yet. So he's available if I need any advice. But I've worked in the business since 2001, bought it in 2015, so I had a good 13, 14 years under my belt. And I learned from him, who ran it very well. And so I did not have any doubts that I could do what he did. It's all's been going pretty well. So
I think a lot of folks that will come in here, if they are interested in buying a business, sometimes they'll just dismiss it because they'll think I don't have the money to buy this business. So can you talk a little bit, because you never took out loans or anything? Can you talk a little bit about how you approach the financials of purchasing a business?
Right, and you either purchase the business or and in this case, what I did was I bought it on contract, and we split up the business. The business was one contract, and then they still own the land and the building. So I'm renting from them essentially, and then I am paying them on a monthly basis for the business, and that ends in about 5 years. So I did not have to take a loan out. They did not get a big lump sum either, so it was good for me in that I don't have a huge loan in front of me, and it was good for them because they didn't have this huge amount of money sitting in their account and is going to get taxed. So lawyers and accountants worked really well together to figure out what to do to make sure that everybody kind of won in that situation.
So when their building lease is up, is that something that you're considering taking over?
Oh, yeah.
So owning the building as well?
Yep. Yes, you definitely want to be a landowner for sure. And that is my plan. That is an option for me in 2 years to purchase the land and the building. So.
And will that be a loan then consideration for you?
Oh yeah, that will be.
That's a loan. So have you had to, since you purchased the business, take out any loans?
No.
And what? No loans yet. So this will be your first one.
Now we had some existing loans I had from
that
the
you
business,
carried over.
That we carried over. But yeah, no, this will be the first loan, and yeah, the first actually mortgage on the building in a while, because it's been paid off for a while.
So how do you approach when you think about a loan? Is that a stress point for you, Or you, yeah.
Right, a little bit, I mean, it's, nobody wants nobody wants, money that they have to keep on paying. It's like everybody says they don't want a car payment, it's kind of like that. I don't want to have loan payments and I just want to keep the money. Yeah, I don't have to make that payment. It's money in my, money to my bottom line. So, yeah, the least amount of loans I can get is great, so.
Are you excited though to own the
Oh, yeah.
the property?
Yep.
Any changes that you think
No.
you're going to make once?
To the property and
Yeah,
liability? No.
because you did some changes on your own, right?
Yeah. The even before they retired, the plan was just to do kind of a outside building upgrade. So the whole shop got painted on the outside, and new front facade on the front with some brick and some things. So nothing really major, but yeah. So that was planned, but. Yeah, no changes. I really have no room for changes.
Right.
I don't know if anybody's been to the shop, and you are more than welcome to come out and see me, and
Without having to have wrecked your car.
Well,
right?
that would be preferably. I mean, really. But if it's just a scratch, come on out. But yeah, I can take you on a little tour. But we have not a lot of space on our property. There's no. I think I'd have to go up if I could, which I doubt Urbandale would let me. But yeah.
So you mentioned business owner. Never been a business owner before.
Nope.
Slow transition. You felt it went smoothly, but one of the things you mentioned that you just weren't expecting was employees and the challenges that having employees can bring to you.
Well, because I was an employee one day and the employer the next day. So it was a little bit of a mind shift for me, especially when I had to fire my first employee, because I wasn't the one that usually would fire employees. That was a dad job. So that was a lot of high pressure and angst, and yeah. So, but it all went well. So and I knew getting that under my belt was good, and get that first fire, and the first hire was always high anxiety as well too, because it's not just me anymore. It's me and my employees that I'm hiring these people, and I need to make sure that sales are coming in and production's going out, and that they can pay for their mortgage, as well too. Besides me paying for the lights in the shop, it's not just me anymore. It's me and my employees. So it's a mind shift for sure.
And you're in such a service-oriented industry. Have you had situations where you've had turnover, or even when you had to fire someone, does it leave you with a gap where you're maybe not able to deliver something that you promised a customer you
Oh
did?
yeah, I've made plenty of phone calls saying, hey, I got a guy out sick today, your car's not going to get done, or my paint booth is down. We're not going to be able to paint your car today and get it back to you today. So it's there's those conversations are hard, but I've learned that the truth is always it's you tell them what's really going on, and most people are pretty accepting about that. Most people realize I have employees. Most people realize that I have employees that call in sick or can't get to work, and so. They're pretty understanding about that. But so yeah, it's
Those are the things you probably didn't realize your dad was dealing
Oh
with
yeah, and
behind the scenes.
when Dad fired, it was like, okay, now Dad's got to find a new technician, and it's like now it's like I've got to find a new technician, and where am I going to find it? And so yeah, it's just like I said, a different mindset.
Are you feeling the impact? We all hear about lack of sort of skilled workers in this field and others. Are you experiencing that?
I am no exception. We have, we are very lucky in the Des Moines area to have a very strong automotive school up at DMAC. We start them young, and even some high schoolers are taking some classes out at Southridge, which is good, and we've got some good teachers. Other areas in the state and across the U.S. are not as lucky, but there are not that many people out there, and it's hard to find good people. It's even hard to find good front office people, let alone skilled technicians in the back that have got to know how to shoot a paint gun, or how to fix a fender, or how to work electrical stuff. So it's so hard to do, and it's I'm learning that I pretty much am becoming the training center for my for my technicians. I am getting them. I'm not hiring 40-year-olds anymore. Those guys are burned out, and so I'm hiring the 20-year-olds and
Just learning.
and that are just out of school and have a little bit of knowledge, and so they're on the job type of training, and so and I've got to provide them opportunities where they can grow and learn, and so they stay with me and don't go to other body shops in the area, because they'll get a job pretty quick if they leave. So,
And when we talk about other body shops in the area, competition, I'm sure, but then you also kind of said you have some as a plan B for you. So if you don't have
sure.
someone at the shop,
Yeah.
so talk about how you
so
evolved into having those relationships.
yeah, so the R. Jones Collision One, the One is actually a network that I belong to. It's called the One Collision Network. They're based out of Wisconsin, but we collaborate with Ankeny Auto Body and Altoona Auto Body, and so we are 3 shops that have. I've known Mark at Ankeny Auto Body for 20 plus years. We all 3 shoot the same paint, and our paint company provides financial meetings that happen a couple times a year, and so we get together, and I literally can tell you how much profit Mark makes on an annual basis. That's how much we know about each other, and which is good. Because we can help each other, and we can build each other up. And if I need a painter, or I need somebody to help fill in or do something, I've got some good business people that I can send some work to if I can't do it. So yeah.
And you were sharing some stories with this financing group in general, and we were chatting like, this is just an industry that's changing so much. They're making cars differently now.
Right.
It's not. We've got aluminum bodies now, and everything's electronic. And how do you personally stay up on
Keep up with it,
everything
yeah.
that's constantly changing?
And it's and I'm sure that's with anybody's industry. There's always change, and you feel like you can't keep up with it. And what I do is I get out and I go to these industry meetings. We've got tons. I could be gone a week every month at some specific industry meetings, but that's what I've got to do in order to know what's going on in the industry. I'm meeting with, not me specifically, but our industries are meeting with OEMs, or the manufacturers. The manufacturers are saying this is what's coming down the line, and then now I know, instead of seeing it in my shop and I go, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with this. I know how to deal with it prior to that. So it's hard, because you need to be in your business, working on your business, but you also need to be out there and making sure that you're talking to people and getting that knowledge, and not just in your industry, but in other industries, and meeting people. And peer groups are like my best friends. It's something that I encourage everybody to do. So
You were sharing a story, because when you take on business ownership, you're taking on so much liability, especially I would imagine in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
If you're repairing a vehicle and then there's issues with that vehicle, it comes back. And you had shared a story which I thought was just, when you look at it from a small business perspective, about a couple that was in an accident and went after originally the manufacturer, right?
Right. So a Honda Fit body shop came into a body shop, and it had hail damage on it. And the body shop, this is down in Texas, replaced the roof on it. And instead of welding the roof on, they glued it on, which is an accepted practice. I will tell you that, but not on this.
Do you know your cars are getting glued
Yes.
together?
I'm not kidding you. They are, but it's an accepted practice, but not on this specific vehicle. There's a lot of roofs out there that are glued on, but Honda Fit and Honda says, nope, you need to weld this roof on. They glued it on. The owner took it back, and he actually sold it. He got into another vehicle, and somebody else bought this Honda Fit, unbeknownst to them that had ever been in an accident or had any repairs done to it. They were out driving, and they were, I don't want to say T-bone, but front end hit the left front side with another vehicle, and the energy that your car sustains is meant to protect the occupants in the seats, in the front seats, in the back seats. However, because this roof was glued on, the roof didn't give, and so something else had to give. And because the energy traveled up the A-pillar and up to the roof, it actually traveled down and into the passenger compartment, and the gentleman was trapped in the car, on fire, and they were able to get him out alive, but they considered him a living cadaver at the hospital for over 2 years. Lawyer got a hold of the car and was going to sue Honda because he was thinking it was a safety issue and that Honda built a bad car. He learned that the car had been manipulated, essentially the roof had been replaced, and he went after the body shop, sued the body shop for $32 million was the lawsuit that the body shop paid. Body shop's no longer in business. I know I wouldn't be in business anymore, but that's the type of stuff that I'm liable for. And
It's a big
it used to
burden.
be, I tell you, warranty's good for as long as you own the vehicle, but my liability is good until it goes to the grave.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of scary.
And how do you ensure
I know,
that your
right?
team is
Yeah.
following
I mean,
the practices
it is a constant battle. Even, I will tell you, OEMs are changing their repair procedures every day. They change them. They say you look up a repair procedure one day and it could change the next because frankly, they're not making the procedures to repair them until after they have been produced. And so we're kind of behind the 8 ball on that, but we have access to repair procedures, and it is every day, constantly.
Unfortunately, the internet now, which, you know, when your dad started the shop, he didn't have that go-to
right. And
source.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's scary to think I'm some of the shops that aren't looking up repair procedures and what else is out there. I just ran into a vehicle came to me. It was repaired by another shop, and it was a rear bumper on a vehicle. And if you have blind spot sensors in your car, little beep that tells you that you've got somebody in your blind spot, those sensors actually sit behind your rear bumper cover on the sides, and they emit a signal out, and we have been told by the manufacturers that we cannot repair any bumper covers in those corner areas anymore. Most, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people have damage on the corners of the bumper. I can't repair anymore. And this body shop repaired this bumper on a nice Lexus vehicle. And the owner was kind of concerned of some things that were going on, and I looked at him and I said, that bumper should never have been repaired. Should have been replaced. Yep.
So when we get those bills that are a lot higher than we thought, it's because
exactly.
it's not
me.
Christy's
it's
fault.
Not me. Right, yeah. I'm just the bearer of the bad news.
Yeah.
So, all these bells and whistles that are on your car that help you drive better and help you navigate and things like that cost money.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot to repair. And you're seeing there's no longer the days of a $500 repair anymore on cars. It's about $1,000 just for one
Just
panel.
to bring it in. So did your father and uncle, when you took over the business, was there already a pretty loyal following? And then what have you had to do personally to get out and get your name out there?
Well, they've been in business since 1971, so that it's almost been almost 50 years.
Yeah.
So about 45 years when they retired, and so they built a very good following of repeat and referral business, and so we don't do a whole lot of of marketing. However, there are some things that we do that that make people aware of who I am. And so one of them, something unique that we do is we actually offer, I teach a ladies' night out class. And so I partner with a mechanic and a insurance agent. And if I could find a female mechanic in the area, I would definitely use her to do the teaching. But unfortunately, I don't know of anybody. If anybody does, let me know. But I partner with Ace Body and Motor mechanic shop just east of the Firestone plant. But we bring women into our facilities and we just teach them a little bit about cars. That's the short end of it. Just so you feel more comfortable when you go in and have your oil changed at the service department, or you feel more comfortable when you get in an accident that you know what to do or what not to do. And so we don't teach you everything, but we teach you a little bit about a lot, so you feel a little bit more comfortable and more empowered when you leave, and that because cars are very complicated. Maintaining your car is very complicated. Getting in an accident is very complicated, and so we just want to make sure that you leave with a little bit more knowledge about that. And so we have a class coming up next Wednesday, as you had mentioned, and so I have some flyers out on the table when you leave today that you can take advantage of. It's free. Sorry, guys. Can't come. I always say put on a skirt and I'll let you come in. So, but yeah, exactly. But so come on out. We're actually having it at the mechanic shop next Wednesday.
That's great.
So you can see where he does his work, and we teach you a little something in between too. So and I'll also mention, please take some of those in case of accident envelopes. Those are for you to throw in your glove box. There's some forms for you to fill out prior to putting in your glove box, but it's some forms that you can fill out at an accident scene, so you don't have to think about all the things that you need to do or get from the other parties at an accident scene. I've seen over my couple years too many people coming in that somebody gave them a wrong phone number, so now they can't get a hold of somebody. Or a one-digit off on a policy number, and now you're paying through your own insurance. And so it's critical to get that information. I always say call the cops, because that's a good third-party person that will gather that information for you. And they're not there to make any decisions about who was wrong and who was right, but there's somebody that will get that information for you if you don't feel safe. So. And always assume damage. Most people
look and say, "Oh, we're good,"
and be like, "Oh, I don't see anything." And frankly, sometimes it's hard to see, especially at night in the rain on the side of the road when cars are going back over or next to you at 55 miles an hour or more. So just always assume damage.
So time goes by so quick, but when I don't even talk about work-life balance anymore, because it's pretty non-existent for most people. But what about your support?
Right.
So besides your one friend?
Right, my
is
one
there?
friend. I know.
Well, real quick, this is a friend in the room also who got you, if I remember correctly, sort of a gift when you first opened the shop.
Yeah.
I thought that was sweet.
Yeah.
Why don't you share that a
Jen,
little
my
bit?
best friend, growing up in the shop, so the shop burned down in 1996. But prior to that, we had my memories of coming into the shop after school, because of course Mom and Dad were there, so that's where we went. But my memories was grabbing Dad's keychain and going to the pop bottle machine. So we had a glass pop bottle machine. You hang the pop bottles on, probably from the 70s. And I would always, unlock it so I can get my free
soda.
And then
Perks.
Perks. Last name is Jones, so I should be able to. But yeah, so I always, that was a fond memory that I have of grabbing the pops from the pop bottle machine. And
But
so
it burned
It
down.
burned. It burned in the fire. It was on the second story, and we did not get that saved. So I had kind of blogged about it. I did some blogging early when I first started back at the shop, and I blogged about just a memory of the pop bottle machine. Well, lo and behold, Jen found the exact same pop bottle machine for me, and it was all restored, and she had it delivered and gave it to me.
Was it full?
It was, yeah, we had some. It's hard to find glass.
I'm like
pop
craving it
bottles
right now just
anymore,
talking
but
about
is.
it.
I know, me too. Me too. So it is sitting in my office. I don't use it as often because I'm trying to drink water. But,
We all
and
try.
I'm sure I could probably put some beer in there too. So, but yeah, so that was a very fond memory I had, and a very good friend to do that for me.
So friends, support
Yep,
do you
support
have? I
groups.
mean,
Oh yeah. So let me name off all the. I always preach. Like 20 groups is what I call them, industry groups. I can complain to them and they know what I'm talking about, and especially about insurance companies. And a good thing no insurance companies in the room today. But I can complain to them about that, and they know what that is. And of course, friends and family. And of course, I've got my dad and my uncle to fall back on too.
do they laugh at you when you
Oh,
bring
they do,
challenges,
'cause
or
they're like, oh yeah, I've been there, done that. Now it's on you. But they're very supportive, and they do answer all my questions if I have any. So, yeah.
Well, what do you, just as we sort of wrap things up, what do you love most about being a business owner? You've got a
Right.
couple years under your belt, and
Yeah.
what do you appreciate the most about it?
For me, it's just the evolution. It's so when I first bought the business, I was running the front office and I was running the production in the back of the house. So I was busy. It takes a lot of work, and we're a very high production facility, so we do a lot of cars through our tiny little shop, and so constantly, if I'm not up front, then I'm out back, and I'm putting out fires in the back, and what's neat for me is I now have a production manager, so I'm not the front, the main person running the back of the house, and so now I can kind of spend some time working on my business and making the processes and procedures that need to happen, where it wasn't happening before. I was just too busy in it, and like I said, putting out fires. And now, hopefully by the end of the year, I will have an estimator hired, and so I can step away from that portion of the business as well too, and focus on running the business and improving it and making sure processes and procedures are followed, and forming processes and procedures. And so that's what I've really enjoyed, is just watching it kind of progress. And now I'm at the point where we can just rock and roll and go and just have a good time with it.
What's your long-term vision for it?
To sell.
To sell?
The one thing that I've learned from my dad and my uncle's mistakes is to have a plan. They didn't have a plan. They just, like I said, they walked in with a toolbox and a dream, and they didn't know how to get out. And so I am not making that mistake. My plan is to purchase more businesses, more shops, because a lot of these guys are retirement age, and I'm sure they're ready to get out. So I am planning to purchase some more businesses, but I got to get my stuff right first before I can produce more at another shop. But purchase some more businesses and sell. I mean, that's the plan.
Well, you did mention when we were chatting that one thing that you really recognize as a business owner too is that you said the highs are a lot higher.
And lows are a lot lower.
Lows are a lot lower.
Yep.
They sort of balance each other out.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of crying, and then there's a lot of laughter, but yeah, I mean, it's, there are lows, there are times where I'm scared that, a car's not going to come up the driveway again.
Yeah.
And there are highs where We had the best August ever, best month ever in probably about 5-6 years.
Just this past August.
This past August.
So that was a high. That was a celebratory
It was.
moment.
And you know what? We look back, we all talked about it, me and the guys. We were not busy. We were not like pulling our hair out. We were a nice, steady, even, and it just happened. And it was just, it really felt good.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then you think, how can I replicate
Right,
that?
right. And
Like, how
then
can we do that over and over?
September was a good dip, and it's, back to reality. So, but, yeah, so like you said, yeah, highs are high and lows are lower.
What about advice? Whether it's as a business owner or auto advice, or
Right,
what are
right.
some,
What do you
some
want?
words
Yeah.
of wisdom to share?
Business owner, like I said, I think the biggest thing I went in to purchase, when I purchased the business, was to have an exit plan. How do I get out? That may change.
Yeah.
I may not buy other businesses, but have a plan, have at least a plan, and you can take those steps to make sure that plan happens. And like I said, it may change, but right now, that is my plan. So have a plan. And then, I don't know, some auto advice. What do you guys want to know?
Well, you tell
I've
your
got it
story,
all.
and I'm sitting here thinking, anytime I get a repair, do I need to say, is this the manufacturer recommended
Right.
repair method?
You should. You know why? Because your insurance policy does not equal manufacturer repair procedures. So, yeah. Where do I start on that one? So, anybody lease their vehicle? Anybody have a lease? Okay,
We
good.
all own our vehicles?
Oh, that's good. Because
Yeah.
when you sign a lease contract, that contract states you have to use all OEM parts and use all OEM procedures. So, but a typical insurance policy will only pay for aftermarket parts, which are generic parts essentially, and which are, I like to call, inferior parts. They are not good parts. And so you are actually breaking your lease contract if you're putting any type of aftermarket parts on your vehicle in a collision. But there's the rub. Your insurance company is supposed to pay to get you back to pre-accident condition, but they only pay for a certain amount of parts, so, or a certain level of parts. So that's good. Nobody has to deal with all the lease contract stuff, but there are manufacturers that say do not use aftermarket parts on our cars. And it's going to come to a head here pretty soon because the insurance companies are just not there yet. Now, there are insurance companies and insurance policies that will provide a good policy and good coverage for you. They are hard to find. They're harder and harder to find. So just be careful. Call me if you have any questions.
Uh-oh. Just open that.
Well, right. I mean, I will give you my, not today, but the other advice is to have an insurance agent. Please don't go online or make a phone call and purchase your insurance from any of those people because I love those. Have you guys seen those Farm Bureau commercials with the little white mechanical guy and the people come in, I just have a baby. He's like, you have baby. Okay, here's your new policy. And those are what those insurance companies, because they have no idea who you are, how you run your life. Do you have extra cars that do you need rental coverage? What does your life look like that we need to build this policy around? And those 800 numbers and those websites are not going to give that to you. So always have an agent whenever you're purchasing insurance. What else did I say? Always assume damage at an accident scene. Call the cops. New law, which really wasn't stated all that well in in July 1st, all these new laws come into effect, but really wasn't talked about. One of them is move over for emergency vehicles. I think we all have heard that one.
That was a new one?
That's a new one. Oh, yeah, it was a
Oh,
law.
I just
That's
assumed that was a law.
Well, good. You're ahead of the game. But a new law is that you need to move your vehicle out of an accident scene if you're on a road. I can't. I just made
See, I would have
it
thought
up,
you
but-
don't move your vehicle
Right.
until somebody gets
But
there.
now it's the law that you need to. If
Move it.
you're blocking traffic or impeding traffic, you need to move to the side of the road, and that is now a law. So a lot of people are going to be like, no, we got to stay here.
Right.
But I mean, if it's a rear end collision, we all know what happened.
Yeah.
One person hit the other person and go off to the side of the road, and we can figure that out there and not impede traffic. So that's a new law. Don't trust Carfax, and don't buy a car from Texas or Florida in the near future because of all the flooding. Electrical issues don't come up right away, and once corrosion starts, it's almost too late to do anything about it. So,
Good tips.
yeah.
Oh, questions?